my name is Claire and my topic is on mental health and criminals. It is well known that a large percentage of criminals suffer from mental illness. These mental illnesses include, but are not limited to, severe depression, schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, as well as antisocial personality disorder. Mental illness is overrepresented in the criminal justice system. This is referred to as the criminalization of the mentally ill by an article published by Cam H. Did you know it was 4 to 7 times more common to have a mental illness in prison than outside of prison? This leads me to my first question. Why are so many people with mental illness in jail? Yeah?
I think there's like 2 reasons, like maybe their mental illness caused them to commit the crime, or because they're locked in this like place that's kind of inhumane.
Yeah, exactly.
It causes like mental illnesses.
Yeah.
I think like a lot of criminals grew up in a low socioeconomic status, so like that kind of progressed and affected their mental health as they age.
Yeah.
And then they were are like likely to.
Yeah.
Relating off of both Robert and Andrea's topics, basically the thing like about like and growing up in like a certain like kind of like low, just like like how she explained it, like there could have been like a childhood trauma that could have created that mental health issue that could have led to the crime. Also, like what Robert said, like mental health is like a huge thing with like the way like it impacts your brain. So like for example, like illnesses like schizophrenia are like very like they're like people with schizophrenia like usually links to their crime.
Yeah, good points, guys. So what I found is that a lot of problems that are associated with mental health problems are also associated with offending. So like broken families, substance abuse, poverty, as well as physical and emotional abuse. And people with mental health issues have higher rates of unemployment and therefore live in poorer neighborhoods. So these neighborhoods have higher crime rates and substance abuse rates. This is because we are so tough on crime in these areas, which causes more people to become incarcerated and therefore overrepresents those with mental illness. Also, sometimes symptoms of mental illnesses can motivate aggressive behavior, such as manic episodes, paranoid delusions, as well as fear and suspicion, all of which may cause or influence criminal offending. So what can be done about this? How can we support those with mental illness inside and outside of the criminal justice system? Yeah?
I think that maybe they could like the surroundings, like the prison, like the inside of the actual prison, could be like made more like fitting to help like people like to support people with mental illnesses.
Yeah, just like a more comfortable.
Yeah, like more comfortable. Like they have invest more money into like therapists and stuff like that to talk to people about it.
Yeah. Kevin?
I feel like portrayed in like a lot of media and like the mental health institutes that actual like people with mental illnesses aren't as exactly like treated as like people. They're like a lot of them are like strapped down, but they're just not treated fairly.
Yeah, so they should be like treated with more care and actually like get help and treatment for their mental illnesses. Yeah. Megan?
This per se is like specifically outside. I feel like there needs to be more supports because it can be prevented from these crimes being committed as well if these people were understood and had the right like tools to, go about their day rather than like struggle with whatever issue they're going through. So I feel like if there was more support and more understanding like in society and community, then these acts can be prevented as well.
Yeah.
Like I know previously, like maybe not now it was practiced as much, but isolation in prisons was practiced a lot. But like finding ways to prevent like those old practices from continuing in certain prisons, because I know they still exist some places.
Yeah, one more, Victor.
If you look at, I'm not sure where it is, I think it's Switzerland, I could be wrong. The jails there are like literally luxury, and it's funny because you see that, and then also they have the lowest crime rate because they focus more on rehabilitation rather than punishment. And a lot of our jails, like here in whatever Canada, America, all over the world, they're very harsh and like they don't really provide much support. But in Switzerland or wherever it is, or Sweden, I think it was Sweden, I think, they really like focus on trying to get people to find their mental health and like really support them so that they can know what they did wrong and like fix their behavior.
Yeah, that's true. So what I found is like first we can actually reduce the stigma around mental health. So we can see this starting to happen in today's society where people are more open with their mental health struggles like on social media, and like schools are more comfortable with talking about it. And we can also make sure as individuals that we are inclusive, open-minded, and supportive. Mental health also needs to be made a priority, especially in Canada. Did you know that 75% of children in Canada with mental disorders do not have access to specialized treatment services? Keep in mind, 70% of mental health problems begin during childhood or adolescence. So it is important for there to be immediate access to helpful programs and services at a young age. It is important to receive proper care and treatment early before police involvement is necessary. And once someone with a mental illness becomes involved in the criminal justice system, they should be supported and provided with care. We must ensure that proper forensic psychiatric assessment occurs early to see if the individual is fit to go through a court process and whether they have a defense of not criminally responsible available to them. Second, we need to offer mental health care to these individuals to support them through their incarceration. And third, support the individual during their process of release back to society. We can do this with housing, financial support, professional support through mental health services, as well as family and social support. Police also need training for times of crisis involving an individual's mental health. We see so many videos online of this happening, and police just do not handle these situations properly, which needs to change. With all this being said, I want to remind you that having mental health issues does not make you more likely to become a criminal. Gillian Peterson said that the vast majority of people with mental illness are not violent, not criminal, and not dangerous in an article she wrote for the American Psychological Association. Researchers analyzed 429 crimes committed by 143 offenders with 3 major types of mental illness. These participants completed a 2-hour interview about their mental health history and criminal history over the past 15 years of their lives. The study found that 2/3 of the offenders who had committed crimes directly related to their mental illness symptoms had also committed crimes for other reasons, thus proving that having a mental illness isn't commonly the reason for being in jail at all. Now let's talk about Serial. In episode 1 of the podcast, Sarah Koenig describes Adnan's case and tells us Jay's story, which is the story that motivated the state's case against Adnan. Jay testified that he helped Adnan bury his body after allegedly confessing to the murder in February 1999. Koenig says that if Jay's story is true, it would mean Adnan isn't just a killer, but a master liar, manipulator, and a psychopath probably. In episode 11, Sarah Koenig describes the term psychopath as a catch-all term for cold-hearted and calculating killer. Charles Ewing describes the term as a person with little to no conscience, who's glib, who can't empathize or relate to other people's feelings. They can read other people very well, but they don't have genuine empathy. Based on these descriptions and what you know about the case of Adnan Syed, do you think he's a psychopath? Yeah.
I don't personally think he's a psychopath, though I'm maybe a bit biased because we've heard him speak, and just like Sarah, she seems to think he's a great person, even a little too great, like she almost sort of idolizes him. But I just think he's trying to hide something from the audience. I don't think that his intentions are necessarily to manipulate us on that sort of scale.
Yeah.
Based on what we know, I think Sarah Koenig has tried to make it the exact opposite. So every detail she's given on Adnan is trying to show us that he's the exact opposite of a psychopath. So I don't think, if he truly is, I don't think we've ever seen any side of him that could be it, just because of how she creates the narrative of Adnan Syed.
Yeah, she kind of wants us to think he's innocent almost.
Yeah.
That's sort of what motivates you to listen to the podcast. Yeah, Megan?
I feel like there's 2 sides to it because it is really biased the way she paints like the podcast. So in the case being he truly is innocent, then it's like he obviously isn't a psychopath and he's just been locked up for no reason this whole time. But I think if he's guilty, like not showing any